I was in the middle of a heart monitor test when my son called yelling, "She's had it with you. Stop acting like you're sick all the time." His wife took the phone and said, "Your drama is exhausting. We're blocking you for a while." They did. I sat in that hospital room alone, but 3 months later, they showed up at my door, and what I said before shutting it. I'm 62 years old. I live alone in Lawrence, Kansas. Lost my husband Greg to a stroke 4 years ago. Since then, it's just been me and my son Adam, when he feels like remembering I exist. Adam's 36 now, married to Jessica for 10 years. They have 2 little ones, Ellie and Max, who I love like my own. I helped raise them when Adam worked long shifts and Jessica was in nursing school. I was always there until I wasn't needed anymore. 3 months ago, I was sitting in Lawrence Memorial Hospital, strapped to wires, heart monitor beeping, nurses running tests because I couldn't catch my breath for days. I had chest pain so bad I thought I was dying. They hooked me up to a Holter monitor to track my heart rhythm. I remember feeling cold, not just the hospital kind of cold, a cold that goes down to the bone when you're scared and alone. Then my phone rang. Adam. Finally. I thought he was calling because he heard I was in the hospital. Maybe someone called him. Maybe for once he cared. I answered with a weak, "Hey, honey." But he didn't ask how I was. No. He started shouting right away. "She's had it with you. She's done, Mom. You're always acting like you're dying. Always needing something. It's too much." I sat up straight, feeling my chest burn under the wires. "What?" I whispered. "She's tired of your sick act. You think the world revolves around you." Then I heard Jessica in the background. She snatched the phone. "You need help. Real help. Your drama is exhausting and we're done with it. We're blocking you for a while." Then she hung up. Blocked. No text, no calls, nothing. I sat there stunned while the heart monitor picked up every beat like it could, hear how shattered I felt. The nurse came in, adjusted the machine. She asked if I was okay. I wasn't, but I nodded. They didn't come to the hospital. They didn't check on me. Not once. I had to have a cardiac ablation procedure a few days later alone. I signed the papers by myself. Woke up by myself. Took a cab home. Nora, my sister, came by once or twice with groceries. I told her Adam was busy. I lied. I didn't want her to see how abandoned I really was. I was tired of defending people who didn't defend me. I watched their Facebook pages during recovery. Jessica posted vacation pictures, snow and greenage. Adam holding Ellie on a ski lift. All smiles. All joy. While I was home healing, dragging myself to and from follow-ups, they were skiing and drinking cocoa like nothing happened. Like I didn't exist. Then in November, I heard a knock at the door. I peeked through the peephole and froze. Adam holding a pie. Jessica next to him. Kids in the car. I opened the door halfway just enough to look him in the eyes. He smiled like it was Christmas morning, like he hadn't cut me out of his life for 3 months while I was in and out of the hospital. "Mom, we thought we'd come see you. Talk." I didn't move. Jessica gave a little wave like this was normal, like I was just being dramatic again. I looked at Adam and said, "I lay in a hospital bed, wondering if I'd make it." "You went skiing." Jessica's smile dropped. "Can we not start with the guilt trip?" I didn't answer. I closed the door. No yelling, no swearing. Just quiet. They stood outside for a few minutes. Then they left. A few days later, a card in the mail. "Let's not throw away all these years over one argument. We love you." I threw it out. Banana bread from Jessica wrapped in plastic. I left it on the porch until it molded. A week later, an email from Adam. He was laid off. "Mum, things are tight. Just a loan to keep the mortgage afloat." I stared at that email for 10 minutes. Then I wrote, "I begged for your voice while they pushed me into that operating room." All I heard was silence. "You made your choice. Live with it." No reply. One night a Facebook message popped up. Carly, Jessica's sister. We hadn't talked since the baby shower 7 years ago. She wrote, "Hey, I hope you don't mind me messaging. I thought you should know Jessica's been saying some things about you. That you faked your heart stuff for attention. That you manipulate Adam. I just want you to know, not all of us believe her. I sat back, jaw clenched. Fake, manipulate. I still had the discharge papers. I still had the scar down my chest. That was when I knew I had let them rewrite the story. Let them make me the villain. It was time for a different version of the truth. One where I didn't stay quiet. One where they had to face what they'd done. And that was just the start. After Carly's message, I didn't sleep much that night. I kept going back and reading her words. Jessica's been saying some things about you. That you faked your heart stuff for attention. That you manipulate Adam. That wasn't gossip. That was character assassination. And for my own daughter-in-law, the same one who cried on my couch when Adam nearly left her 5 years ago after she blew through their savings. The same woman I stood up for federal housed, babysat for free. I messaged Carly back. Thank you for telling me. You didn't have to, but you're a better woman than your sister, she replied almost instantly. I just don't like how they treat you. I've heard enough. I bit my tongue for too long. I asked, would you be willing to put some of that in writing? She said back a thumbs up. And that's when the idea came to me. Not revenge. Not at first, just truth. I pulled out my folder, the one I kept from the hospital. Every visit, every prescription, the surgery summary, the insurance forms, all of it. Then I opened my laptop and started typing. I wrote a letter to Adam and Jessica, but I didn't send it to them. I sent it to their pastor. Yes, Pastor Greg at the Redeemer Lutheran Church in THA, the one they post about every Sunday, the man who baptized both their kids. I knew he was someone they respected, someone who'd ask questions. My letter was simple. I know you care for Adam and Jessica, but they've been spreading lies about me, and I thought you deserved the truth. I'm attaching proof of my medical situation. I'm also attaching a statement from someone in their own family who's been told the same lies. I'm not asking for pity. I just want it known that when I needed my family, they disappeared. And now they're rewriting the story like I was never sick. 2 days later, I got a response. Pastor Greg said he was disturbed by what he read and that he'd be reaching out to them. He thanked me for the honesty. I didn't expect what happened next. It was a Tuesday morning. I was in the kitchen making coffee when I saw Adam's truck pull into the driveway. He got out, but he wasn't alone. Jessica was in the passenger seat, and behind them, a car I didn't recognize. Then I saw who got out. Pastor Greg. They were coming to confront me. I kept the door shut and waited. Knock, knock. Mom, open up. Please, Adam called. I opened it just enough to look him in the eye. Jessica looked furious, her arms crossed, her face tight. Pastor Greg looked uncomfortable. Mrs. Fielding, he said gently, I wanted to come because I think there's some confusion that needs to be cleared up. There's no confusion, I said. I was in a hospital. They were skiing. They blocked me. That's all crystal clear, Jessica snapped. You had no right involving him in this. This was family business. Pastor Greg turned to her calm but firm. Jessica, I've spoken to Carly, and I've seen the hospital records. You told people your mother-in-law faked her condition. She started to speak, but he raised a hand. No more lies. Not here. Adam finally stepped forward. His eyes were red. Mum, I didn't know how bad it was. She told me you were just fishing for attention. She said you were exaggerating. I didn't check. That's on me. I stayed silent because I wanted to see if he'd say the next part, but Jessica beat him to it. She's always guilt. Tripping you, Adam. She's manipulating this whole thing. Pastor Greg turned to her. I think you and Adam need to take some space. Real space and reflect. Jessica scoffed. This is insane. But Adam looked at me and said, I lost 3 months with you. I missed your surgery. I believed the wrong person. I nodded once, but I didn't invite them in. I closed the door. The fallout started fast. Jessica's lies didn't hold up. Not with Carly talking, not with the pastor asking questions. Word got around. Jessica's parents called me, apologized. Her aunt sent me a card telling me she'd had her doubts about Jessica for years, and Adam, he started coming around again alone. He looked like a man who had just realized his house was built on sand. But I wasn't done. Not yet. Because I had more than just hurt feelings. I had years of enabling loans I'd forgiven. Childcare. I gave freely and a power I'd never used until now. I started to use it. Adam started showing up alone. Once a week at first, then more. Sometimes he brought groceries. Sometimes just sat at my kitchen table talking like he was trying to make up for all the lost time in one sitting. I listened. I let him talk, but I didn't let him off the hook. I didn't pretend things were fine. One night he said, "I honestly thought you were exaggerating. Jess made it seem like you always had something going on, that you liked the attention." I said, "And you didn't even come see for yourself? That's the part one can't forget." He stared at the floor and nodded. I know, but there was something else. Something he wasn't telling me, and I found out what it was when Carly messaged me again. You might want to know. Jessica's been talking about taking the kids and going back to her parents. Says Adam's lost it, and she's done carrying dead weight. She's blaming you for the whole mess. That woman. After all of it, she was still turning the knife. But that wasn't even the worst part. What Carly said next stopped me cold. And Jessica told Adam she might file for custody. Said you were unstable and might be a bad influence if you tried to insert yourself into their lives again. I read that 3 times. Unstable. Bad influence. This wasn't just about hurt feelings anymore. She was getting ready to erase me from my grandkids' lives, just like she'd done to Adam's backbone. So I decided it was time to stop reacting and start preparing. I pulled out every single paper I had. Loan records, text messages, emails. $8,000. I lent them in 2020 when their roof caved in. No repayment. 3 separate emails from Jessica asking me to please take the kids for a few weeks during CO so she could finish her online classes without distraction. A photo of Ellie asleep in my lap in the ER when she had a 104-degree fever because Jessica couldn't miss work again. All the ways I helped. All the ways I showed up. I compiled it into a binder, plain black cover, no labels. Then I went to a lawyer. Not to sue, not yet, just to talk. His name was Mark Latimer. Older guy, wore flannel under his blazer. Didn't blink when I told him what happened. He looked through the binder, slowly, carefully. Then he said something. That made my stomach turn. If she really wanted to go for full custody and paint you as unstable, it wouldn't be hard. One whisper about mental health, a lie about medication, one outburst taken out of context. I felt the heat rise in my face. So, what do I do? He flipped to the last page. You start keeping records. Every visit, every call, every gift you give. Those kids, every time Adam brings them over, you write it down. If she wants to play this dirty, you have to be 5 steps cleaner but ready. I nodded. He handed me a spiral notebook. Start today. A week later, Adam showed up again. I noticed the ring was gone from his hand. Jess filed for separation, he said. I sat down across from him. He looked thinner, hollowed out. She said, I let you poison our family, that you turned people against her. I didn't say anything, just waited. Then he said it. She's going for full custody. Said, I'm unstable. 2, that she'll tell the court you've been interfering and making things worse. He started crying. I think she's serious, Mom. I handed him the binder. He looked confused. What's this proof? I said, of everything I've done for your family. Of every time I was there, you're going to need it. He opened it and started flipping through. His hands were shaking. Why did you do all this? Because I knew what she was capable of before you did. He sat back, wiped his face, and whispered, I really screwed up. And I said, no, you let someone else screw up for you. That ends now. The letter came a week later. Certified mail. Jessica's attorney. Notice of intent to request supervised visitation and family restraining order, claiming ongoing harassment and emotional manipulation by the maternal grandmother, Miss Fielding. I stared at it for so long, the coffee went cold in my hand. She was trying to cut me out completely. Legal action, fabricated stories, lies, all from the woman whose kids I kept safe, fed, and warm. I called Mark immediately. Read him the letter. He said, "It's a scare tactic, but if she files it for real, we fight back hard." That night, I sat in my chair and wrote something I hadn't before. A full timeline, every visit, every favor, every sacrifice. Then I wrote, the last line. The day they needed me, I was there. The day I needed them, I was disposable. And I knew this wouldn't end in court. This would end somewhere deeper in front of everyone who believed her lies. And the truth. It was about to burn. Everything she built to the ground. It didn't take long. Jessica filed the official papers. She claimed I had inserted myself into parental decisions, encouraged Adam to defy her boundaries, and that my emotional manipulation created an unstable environment for the children. The court granted a temporary order. I couldn't see Ellie and Max unless supervised, and only if Adam was present. I wasn't even allowed to attend Ellie's school recital. I watched the video later on a phone screen alone. It was like being erased in real time. But Adam, he was changing. She pushed too far. He hired his own attorney. Not the cheap one. She wanted him to use a real one. And he fought back hard. He used the binder. He used Carly's testimony. He used screenshots, emails, and even text messages Jessica had sent him, threatening to make sure your mother never sees those kids again. But the real turning point, a voicemail. Jessica left it on Adam's phone during a meltdown. She didn't know it. Was recording. It went like this. "You're pathetic, Adam. You let your sick old mom make you feel guilty. You think she's innocent? Please let her rot. I'll say whatever I need to make sure she's out of our lives for good. You and your damn guilt complex are... Why? You'll lose those kids." That voicemail hit the courtroom like a bomb. Her own words, clear as day. The judge, a middle-aged woman with no patience for emotional blackmail, listened to it twice. Then she looked at Jessica and said, "You tried to weaponize the legal system to alienate a grandmother who had no history of abuse, only a history of helping your family. That ends today." She reinstated my visitation rights immediately. She also ruled Jessica had used bad faith litigation and ordered her to pay part of Adam's legal fees. Jessica turned red in the face. She tried to cry, said it was all misunderstood. But nobody believed her anymore. Not after the messages, not after Carly's affidavit, not after everything. A month later, I got a knock on the door. It was Adam. He had both kids with him, Ellie and Max. They ran to me like nothing ever happened. He said, "Can we stay here for a bit?" I moved out. "I'm done." I nodded and let them in. That night, while the kids slept upstairs, he told me everything. Jessica had started an affair months ago with a guy from her job. She'd used me as a scapegoat. While she built her exit plan, she had planned to destroy my credibility, take the kids, and leave Adam holding nothing. But when her lies fell apart in court, the guy dumped her. Her whole plan crumbled. Her parents found out. Her sister told them everything. They were ashamed. Her own father called me to apologize. He offered to pay part of my legal bills. I declined. Something shouldn't be patched with money. I wrote a letter to Jessica. Not long, just a page. You said I was drama. That I faked being sick. That I manipulated Adam. But I survived heart surgery. I survived being abandoned in a hospital. And I survived you. I don't need to scream. I don't need to beg. I just need you to know you lost. Not because I fought dirty, but because I didn't. You destroyed your own house. I just stood outside and watched it fall. I mailed it. I don't know if she read it, but I know this. She lost her marriage. She lost custody. She lost every ally she had. Now she's in a small apartment alone every other weekend with the kids she tried to keep from me. Adam lives with me for now. He's rebuilding slowly, one day at a time. We don't talk about Jessica much. The kids ask about her, and I keep it simple. She's still your mom, but sometimes grown-ups make mistakes. I'm stronger now than I've ever been. Not just because I survived the surgery, not because I won in court, but because I finally stopped begging people to love me the way I love them. I stood up, I told the truth, and I let karma do what it does best. Quiet, sharp, unforgiving. Just like the silence I sat in that hospital bed with. Except this time it wasn't me who had to face it. It was her. And that was